Hello, Awesome Soul here, and welcome back to another news video. It's been a few days since I've done one of these, as I've posted some larger content, I guess you could say, on my channel. I put out another concept video, and I did a rather cool, fun, interesting, whatever you want to use to describe it, video on a custom game mode I did over on the Soul Squad Discord server. We played that for a few matches, I think a couple days ago? It would be the day before I put that video out. But that's not exactly what you're here for, now is it? Of course, you come for the news. Now, as I said, I haven't done a news video in a little while, so there are a few older tweets, but a lot of these don't really have a lot of upvotes or hearts on them, or retweets for that matter. So chances are you probably haven't seen these. And of course that means I still will be sharing them for you. First off, we'll start with Rick's Twitter, and then go into Mark's Twitter, who has quite a lot of things to say, actually. But yes, now to Rick. Rick fairly recently tweeted out that him and Mark have been testing out the new reworked wheels, and he says that they are finally a joy to use. And of course he's looking forward to crushing Mark, or anyone else for that matter, in a custom race game. Now after that he's asked if they can still drift, and he replies with, not as easily, but that's a good thing. And yes, I would agree, that is definitely a good thing. The drift they have now is practically uncontrollable, and it's not really that fun to use. However, if you mount side thrusters on them, you should be able to get that bad boy going sideways. Now that's very interesting, because he makes it seem like you can slide left and right, almost like strafing. At least that's the picture I have in my head, but probably not close to that. Or I could be wrong. Of course, I don't really know how they're reworking the wheels. All we know at the moment is that they are being reworked. But we do get a few hints and bits and pieces of what might be going down in a few other tweets I have. But shifting gears, we head over to see what Mark has to say. And he says a rather similar sentiment, although this one was posted earlier. This was on the 9th of May. He says, just tested the new wheels today. Getting close to having them right. Stable, fast, controllable, actually feels like wheels, and will have camera controls as well. Now, if you're wondering how exactly camera controls could work for wheels, well, chances are it's most likely going to be the way that the tank tracks control, or at least somewhere very similar to it. Or I could be completely wrong there. I don't know. But anyways, a day later, somebody responds with, for wheels having a chance of being viable, they should easily reach 300 miles per hour without thrusters, and have corresponding acceleration. Just saying. Personally, I think 300 might be a little bit too high, but that's just me. But Mark simply responds with, the new tech can handle speeds that fast. He doesn't say they are guaranteed to be 300 miles per hour. He doesn't say maybe they can reach that if they have thrusters installed. He just responds with what he has there. Though what I can gather from this, it means that the wheels have the possibility of getting to that speed. So, for example, the largest sprinter leg can only go 174 miles per hour. That is the maximum cap that it can go. If you try and add thrusters or a propeller, you're gonna have a nearly impossible time of getting a speed faster than that. Of course, when you're jumping, the thrusters and propeller will kick in and help you go further, but when you're actually running, you can't really get faster than that speed. That is basically its limit. So what he possibly is getting at here is that wheels have a upper limit of 300 miles per hour. Although I highly doubt that's going to be their normal speed, that's probably going to be a speed cap. So if you install other parts, you can get it to that fast. Anyways, I'm kind of talking around in circles, so let's move on. Now here's a very interesting one, seeing as this was posted on the 9th, which was quite a while back. Somebody basically asks when the wheels are coming out, and Mark responds with, nearly done. Just a few final tweaks to go. That is very good news. Hopefully this means we'll be seeing them within the week, or it could maybe be 2 weeks. But if all goes smoothly, fingers crossed we'll be seeing a news post about them sometime soon. Here we have another question for Mark. Somebody asks, when will you add mortars to the game? For those that are kind of new here, mortars have been planned for a little while. about half a year, I think I want to say. Maybe more than half a year, I can't quite remember. But they were teased and hinted at a while back. But unfortunately, things came up, and they were more pressing matters that the code team had to work on. So the Mortars kind of took a back seat for a while, and then they came back to it and realized the code was kind of outdated. So they now have to essentially start over. But anyways, Mark responds with, yes, Mortar is in a queue of things being worked on at the moment, but it's quite a while away. So they're being worked on, but it's not planned for at least the near future. But a few videos back, I did say that the Mortar was planned to be the next weapon, and then we got the mini chain shredder. So possibly what they meant by that was the next unique weapon. We could possibly be seeing some different size variants of existing weapons in the meantime. And I have something that might lead into that a bit more later on in the video. So here we have another question. Somebody is asking, when will we be able to select chunks of cubes on our bot? So think about if you want to select an area. So a 3x10 area, you can pick that up and plonk it down somewhere else on your bot. Mark responds with, yes, the plan is to actually add a tractor beam gun, so you can grab and move chunks and your whole bot, as opposed to the current key nudges that they have currently. Yes, if you're new to the game, by the way, you can move your bot up and down, forward, left, back, and right. If you go into settings and go into your keyboard controls, you will find the keys to that there. Or maybe the tutorial does it. I haven't actually checked out the tutorial. But anyways, so something like this is pretty cool. It's just another tool we have in the garage bay. So it makes it a bit easier for newer players to realize that, oh, we can actually do this, rather than just having it kind of hidden away. But yeah, having a tractor beam actual tool, I guess you could say, in your garage bay would be rather nice. It's just kind of like the block placer tool and the painting tool, but now we have a tractor beam tool. So it's a lot more visual instead of just hitting a key that some people might not even be aware of. Now here's one that we kind of knew, but we're just getting reconfirmation on. Somebody asks if they will be getting the old maps, and Mark says, yes, the plan is to add old maps into custom games as well. So very good news there, but that's kind of all there is to it. Hopefully at some point we will be seeing every single map, and each variant of them over time, if they still exist. Hopefully they do, because playing on the very first version of Helion Impact Crater could be pretty interesting. At the very least, it would make for a great custom games area, or maybe not. I don't know. Either way, the more variety, the better. Next up, we have Cattree again, asking if there will ever be checkpoints/gates and a race game mode/race map. Mark responds with, racing is hard. First, we need to rework our physics so it's done on the server side, or at least solve our latency issue. What he's referring to is something that Tesla players will know far too well, or even people getting hit by Tesla, for that matter. So if you've ever been driving around and you're being hit by Teslas that are nowhere near you, that's what he's talking about. Although generally it's not that bad, but on your screen you'll see the Tesla bot a little ways away, and you're like, okay, I can see them very close to me, but clearly they're not actually hitting me. But on their screen, they are physically hitting you. So that's basically what he's getting at there. And if you ever have actually played a custom race mode, you will know that bumping into players while they're moving, it's a little bit wonky. It does not feel right. So chances are we won't be seeing this anytime soon, if at all, but at the very least, it's good to know that they do acknowledge that latency is a problem. Going back to the same topic of custom games, somebody asks, will the old Battle Arena game mode be added later? For those that are brand new to the game, the old Battle Arena was fairly similar to the new one, although without the core eruption, with, you know, the big crystal that comes out of the ground. Basically, how you would capture points back then was shooting crystals on 3 towers. But those 3 towers have been now replaced with the 3 capture points. So all you do now is just stand on the capture points. The game mode is somewhat similar, although there are a decent chunk of differences. But anyways, Mark responds with, that will be tricky. There are lots of code that was removed from the overall code base to keep it clean and readable. So it seems like we would have to make a bit of a fuss if we actually really wanted this back in the game. And by fuss, I mean just actually letting him know. I don't mean like complaining or whining, but you know, just say, oh Mark, you know, old Battle Arena was fun. Perhaps for custom games we can have it. Because you know, one comment is one thing, but 100 comments is something different entirely. Now, we come to the very last tweet we have here, and that is on the topic of my Hive Missile Pod. So for those who haven't seen the video, go check that out now. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend checking it out. But if you have seen it already, you will know that no, it is absolutely not a miniaturized Lommel. It functions fairly differently, so therefore it is a totally different weapon. It just so happens that they both use missiles, although the missiles do also look very different. It's kind of like saying plasma and lock-on missile launcher both explode, so therefore they're the same weapon. That's not the case at all. But anyways, we have a comment replying to the picture I put out saying, say hello to your worst nightmare. It's the Lommel's big brother. Although I wouldn't exactly agree with the big brother thing. Personally, I would say the Lommel's little brother, or perhaps cousin, twice removed. But anyways, Mark responds here by saying, be careful what you wish for. Now, he doesn't respond to the Hive Missile Pod tweet, he responds specifically to the Lommel's big brother tweet. Although it does say, replying to Harvey Jolly, the Awesome Soul, and 4 others, Harvey Jolly is the primary person he's responding to. So hopefully Mark is seeing it the same way I am, and saying that it's the little brother. And maybe it was a typo on the original poster's part. Maybe they actually did mean to say smaller brother, or little brother, I don't know. Because if they typed it out on a phone, I could possibly see that, because, you know, phones autocorrect can be a little odd at times. So, what exactly does Mark's tweet mean? Well, I'm not entirely sure, but it could mean a few things. As a few of you might know, way back in the day, when you could only apply one weapon to your bob, and there was no weapon switching, they had proposed a secondary weapon system, and Teslas were the first and only secondary weapon that was implemented. Before, of course, switching over to the weapon switching system, which is far superior, in my opinion, than the old system. One thing that was planned back then was some sort of missile weapon, and it was revealed later on that Mark had plans to have it follow your mouse when fired. So perhaps that idea never died, and we will be seeing something like that in the future. Alternatively, what it could also mean is a smaller version of the lock-on missile launcher, possibly in the same vein as my Hive Missile Pod, so you can't actually rotate the weapon. Obviously, I would personally like to see the Hive Missile Pod in the game, but a lock-on missile launcher that kind of is similar would be a good second place, I guess. Anyways, we are now completely caught up in all of the tweets. At least for now. There's always going to be more news though. But with that, I will go ahead and wrap up the video here. But of course, comment down below on anything I talked about in the video. I would love to read your feelings on all of these things. But anyways, I of course have been the Awesome Soul. I thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.